Marvel Studios is no longer the juggernaut it once was at the end of the last decade. This is confirmed by Juggernaut actor Vinnie Jones. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up this morning over at thatparkplace.com. And X-Men The Last Stand actor Vinnie Jones, who played the Juggernaut, revealed to Yahoo Movies that he turned down the opportunity to reprise the role as Juggernaut in the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine film. This is what he said. Funnily enough, I just got asked to do Deadpool, the new one, and I spoke to the director and I just said it's such a drama putting that suit on mentally and physically. I mean, it had its mental toll as well because you're in it and you can't do anything all day. You can only drink through a straw. So we couldn't strike the deal for Deadpool. So it sounds like he didn't want to wear the suit again. Well, that might not be the case because he would also add this. But Deadpool's my favorite movie of all effing time, more or less. I really wanted to do it, but they didn't have the budget to put me in the suit. So it's not that he didn't want to wear the suit, it's that Marvel Studios couldn't afford to pay him to put him in the suit. You cannot even imagine this just 5-6 years ago. There's absolutely no way that Marvel would not be able to afford to get Vinnie Jones to reprise his role as the Juggernaut and wear that Juggernaut suit. There's absolutely no way. I mean, we were looking at films at the end of the 2010s that were bringing in over $1 billion regularly. You had Avengers Infinity War, you had Avengers Endgame, you had Black Panther, you had Captain America Civil War, you had Spider-Man Far From Home. Yes, I know that it was Sony. It's still a Marvel Studios production as well. You had Captain Marvel. They all grossed over $1 billion worldwide. Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War grossed over $2 billion, with Endgame raking in $2.7 billion globally. And they had all kinds of cameos in that film. All kinds. However, though, we have seen Marvel Studios struggle over the last half decade since Endgame. The Marvels, obviously being the most recent example, the film only grossed $199.7 million, did not cross the $200 million mark, and it had a production budget north of $274.8 million. So it didn't even hit its production budget. Nevertheless, covering the theater take of those grosses, lost hundreds of millions of dollars for the Walt Disney Company and Marvel Studios. You can also look at other films that have failed recently, not bringing in any money. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and Eternals. Not only are they losing money at the box office with their films, they're clearly losing a lot of money on Disney Plus. Just look, they lost over 1.3 million subscribers on Disney Plus in just the last quarter, 400,000 of those from North America. Not only are they losing subscribers, but we're seeing viewership decline at Disney Plus. You can just look at Echo and Secret Invasion. We'll just look at Echo right here. Echo, in its first week on Nielsen, its only week on Nielsen, brought in 731 million minutes. That was across both Hulu and Disney Plus for all 5 episodes that released at the same time. Compare that to Loki, which released back in 2021 on Disney Plus. The very first episode that only released on Disney Plus raked in 731 million minutes. A show from 2021 where there were less subscribers, even though they've lost 1.3 million, they still have more subscribers in the last quarter than they did in 2021. So we're looking at a show that debuted in 2021 where there were less subscribers on Disney Plus. You had more people tuning in. So people aren't even watching these shows that are subscribed to Disney Plus. So they're just basically throwing money away. And we know that they threw a bunch of money away because they took that, like $2 billion write-off. Then they removed shows like Willow, like the Mighty Ducks show. So my guess is they can't remove the Marvel shows that are doing absolutely atrocious like Echo because they don't want to significantly harm the brand of Marvel Studios anymore. They have to keep that image up. But based on these numbers that we're seeing and all this other evidence that we have, it's not looking good for Marvel Studios. And so that would indicate, yeah, we're not bringing in as much money as what we once were just half a decade ago. So we have to make budget cuts. And Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige made it very clear that's exactly what they were going to do in an interview with Entertainment Weekly last year. He says, "We want Marvel Studios and the MCU projects to really stand out and stand above. So people will see that as we get further into phase 5 and 6, the pace at which we're putting out the Disney Plus shows will change so they can each get a chance to shine." He then confirmed they would be cutting the number of shows they were producing as well as spacing them out, saying both, I think. So obviously they're slashing the amount of money they're spending by not making as many shows. And then they're also slashing the amount of money they're spending per year by not making as many shows per year, right? And then he also says this: "I think we're doing about 8 projects a year. And again, I said this is going to shift a little bit. They all have to be different. They all have to stand apart and stand alone and be different from one another." Well, not only are we seeing them just basically cut projects or spread them out to try and reduce costs across the board, but now, according to Vinnie Jones, they're clearly cutting budgets for their big films. Deadpool and Wolverine is probably their next biggest film. Probably will do pretty decent. I don't know how great it will do. It's definitely going to do better than the Marvels, that's for sure. There's no doubt, with uh, Hugh Jackman coming back to play Wolverine and Ryan Reynolds returning to Deadpool. But they're clearly having to cut costs, and they can't afford to bring Vinnie Jones in to play Juggernaut. So we'll see what's going on, but huge sign that Marvel Studios is indeed struggling, and they are having to cut costs across the board. Let me know what you guys make of what Vinnie Jones had to say here and his revelation that they couldn't afford to pay him. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.